Why do you feel like you were born in the wrong century? Because you were. You're not a modern personality type. You're an ancient philosopher in a world built for small talk. Your mind operates on principles that made Socrates a threat to Athens and Marcus Aurelius an emperor of Rome. That quietness people mistake for weakness, that stoic restraint refined over centuries. Your ability to see through everyone's performance, that's Plato's cave allegory in living action. Your relentless need to question everything until people get uncomfortable, pure Socratic method. In this video, I'm going to prove that your INFJ mind echoes history's most dangerous thinkers, and show you exactly why that makes you a threat to the shallow world around you. Before we start, please hit the like button, comment, and subscribe so you won't miss any of our weekly deep dives into the world of personality types. And if you are looking to achieve a deeper understanding of yourself and your personality type, click the link in the comments to take our favorite free personality test. The Stoic Silence: Why Your Quietness is Strategic Power. Marcus Aurelius understood something most people never grasp. True power doesn't come from the loudest voice in the room. It comes from internal control, from knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. And if you're an INFJ, you've been practicing this ancient art your entire life without even realizing it. While everyone else is performing emotional karaoke at the office meeting, you're running psychological calculations in real time. You're not just listening to what people say, you're analyzing their tone, their body language, the micro-expressions that reveal what they're actually thinking. Your brain is building complete psychological profiles while others are still figuring out whether to speak up. This isn't social anxiety. This is a strategic restraint. The Stoics believed that wisdom comes from observing before acting. They understood that most human suffering comes from reacting too quickly, from speaking without thinking, from letting emotions drive decisions. INFJs naturally embody this principle. You don't just blurt out whatever comes to mind, because you understand that words have consequences that ripple far beyond the moment they're spoken. When you finally do speak, it's like watching a master archer release an arrow. One perfectly crafted sentence that hits the exact center of what everyone was thinking but couldn't articulate. The room goes quiet, not because you shouted, but because you said what needed to be told with surgical precision. Modern society mistakes volume for value. We live in a world that rewards the loudest opinion, the fastest response, the most dramatic reaction. But ancient philosophers knew better. They understood that the person who speaks least often speaks most powerfully. Your silence isn't space waiting to be filled. It's active observation, strategic patience, and moral calculation. While others are broadcasting their thoughts in real time, you're curating yours. You're asking yourself the questions that matter. Will these words help someone grow? Will they change anything meaningful? Or are they just noise with punctuation? This is why INFJs can sit through entire conversations without saying a word, then drop one observation that makes everyone reconsider their whole perspective. You're not being mysterious or complicated. You're being intentional. The Stoics taught that true strength comes from controlling what you can control and accepting what you cannot. INFJs live this daily. You can't control how others interpret your quietness, but you can control the quality of what you contribute when you choose to speak. You can't force people to understand your depth, but you can ensure that when you share it, it's worth their attention. Your strategic silence is a superpower that ancient emperors and philosophers spent decades trying to master. You were born with it. The question isn't why you're so quiet. The question is, why is everyone else so loud? But your philosophical nature runs even deeper than strategic communication. Plato's cave: why you see what others can't. Most people live in Plato's cave, mistaking shadows on the wall for reality itself. They see the performance and think it's the truth. They watch the social media highlight reel and believe it's someone's actual life. They hear the words people say and miss the emotional subtext screaming underneath. But you don't live in that cave. You never have. INFJs exist in a state of double awareness that most people can't even comprehend. You see the surface-level conversation, and at the same time, you decode the psychological drama playing out beneath it.
When someone says they're fine, you hear the tremor in their voice that says they're falling apart. When a couple posts happy photos, you sense the tension that's about to tear them apart.
This isn't mystical intuition. This is philosophical pattern recognition in action. Plato taught that most humans are content to watch shadows because looking at the actual fire hurts their eyes. The truth is too bright, too complex, too demanding. It requires them to question everything they thought they knew about reality. So they stay in the comfortable darkness, arguing about which shadow is prettier. You can't stay in that darkness because your mind won't let you. You see the patterns behind the performance. You notice when someone's smile doesn't reach their eyes, when their laugh sounds hollow, when their confidence is actually compensation for deep insecurity. You pick up on the microsignals that reveal someone's actual emotional state while they're still trying to convince themselves they're okay. This deeper sight makes you dangerous to systems built on illusion. You threaten relationships that depend on both people pretending everything is fine. You make people uncomfortable because you see through their carefully constructed masks to the vulnerable human underneath. The burden of seeing truth while others prefer comfortable lies is exhausting. You want to help people understand what's really happening in their lives, but they're not ready for that level of honesty. They want you to play along with the shadow puppet show, to pretend their performance is reality. But here's what makes your vision truly powerful. Your idealism isn't naive optimism. It's based on seeing what's actually possible when people stop hiding from themselves. You've glimpsed the fire outside the cave. You know what authentic relationships look like, what genuine happiness feels like, what real growth requires. When others call you unrealistic, they're really saying they can't imagine anything better than the shadows they're used to. When they say you're too intense, they mean you're asking them to look at something that makes their eyes hurt. When they tell you to be more practical, they're begging you to join them in the comfortable darkness. You see potential where others see problems. You know the person someone could become, not just who they are right now. You see the relationship that could flourish if both people stopped performing and started being real. This vision of what's possible is what drives your relentless pursuit of authenticity and depth. The cave dwellers think you're the one living in fantasy, but you're the one who's seen the light. You know the difference between shadow and substance, between performance and truth, between what people say and what they actually mean. This clarity extends to how you navigate the deepest aspects of human nature itself. The Socratic method, why your questions threaten the status quo. Socrates was considered dangerous because he questioned everything that everyone else took for granted. He wouldn't accept surface-level answers about virtue, love, justice, or meaning. He kept asking why until people either had profound realizations or had an existential crisis. Sound familiar? INFJs don't engage in small talk because they're allergic to superficiality. When someone mentions they're having relationship problems, most people offer quick advice or change the subject. You start conducting philosophical excavations. You want to understand the problem's architecture. What patterns led to this moment? What beliefs are creating this dynamic? What's the real issue underneath the obvious symptoms? While others are content with the first answer, you're still digging for the origin beneath the origin. You don't just want to know what someone thinks. You want to understand why they believe it, where that belief came from, and whether it's actually serving them. This questioning nature makes you a threat to superficial social structures. You can't pretend someone's toxic behavior is acceptable just to keep the peace. You can't nod along when people make excuses for patterns that are obviously destructive. Your need for authenticity mirrors the Socratic pursuit of truth, and that pursuit makes people uncomfortable. Most conversations exist to fill silence or maintain social connection. Your conversations exist to understand reality. When someone asks how you're doing, they expect a quick, fine, so they can move on. You pause and actually consider the question. How are you doing? What does that even mean? Are we talking about surface-level functioning or deeper existential satisfaction? This isn't you being difficult. This is you honoring the ancient wisdom that the unexamined life isn't worth living. You examine everything because you understand that most human suffering comes from accepting false beliefs without question. You question your own thoughts and emotions with the same intensity you bring to understanding others. Your introspection can feel like being both the therapist and the patient in an endless session. Why did that comment bother you so much? What childhood pattern is being triggered? What belief system needs updating? This level of self-examination makes you wise, but also exhausted. While everyone else accepts their first emotional reaction as truth, you're analyzing the psychological roots of every feeling. You're not just experiencing life, you're studying it. The Socratic method isn't meant to find easy answers. It's intended to reveal how little we actually know and how much we assume without evidence. INFJs live in this space of productive uncertainty, constantly questioning and seeking a more profound understanding. Your questions don't just threaten small talk, they threaten it. They threaten the entire foundation of how most people navigate relationships, work, and meaning. You're asking people to examine beliefs they've never questioned, to consider possibilities they've never imagined, to face truths they've been avoiding. Your INFJ traits aren't modern personality quirks that need fixing. They're ancient philosophical practices refined over thousands of years by history's greatest thinkers. You're not too sensitive, too deep, or too questioning. You're operating on timeless wisdom in a world that's forgotten what depth looks like. Stop apologizing for your philosophical nature. Trust your instincts to see beyond the surface, to question what others accept, to speak only when your words can create real change. Click the link in the comments to take our favorite free personality test and discover more about your strategic mind. If you want to continue the journey to understanding yourself or an INFJ in your life, click either of the following videos, where we continue to unlock the secrets of the INFJ personality type.